Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. No, Max actually said, this year has been very different. I think we were more competitive this year and more enjoyable with how we performed as a whole team. I would say this one is better and more rewarding from Max Verstappen. More rewarding, I guess, than 2021, which today is the anniversary of Abu Dhabi 21.
You had to remind us, didn't you?
By the way, so we will talk a little. We've got to refresh a little bit more on
days.
But of Max's statement, this more rewarding thing, what do we make of that? Because obviously there were very different championships in the way that they played out. Do you understand where Max is coming from with that one?
Definitely, 100%. Because even he's talked about it, I think straight away after Abu Dhabi 2021, he was kind of like, oh yeah, it's not going to affect me, blah, blah, blah. But then a few months later, he was like, actually, he started really hating that. That was the whole Ted Kravitz thing where he was like, why do people keep bringing it up? Leave that in the past. So this year, I think, has felt a lot more cleaner, not as much kind of noise around it, apart from the whole cost cap thing. So, and that does matter to him. Like, even if he doesn't say it or even admit it, like in the back of his mind, like it's so much better that this championship, there's no kind of question mark over it, apart from the cost cap. But again,
yeah.
So that's why I think he's a lot more kind of happier now. No one's gonna no one's gonna challenge the 2022 championship except for Ted Kravitz. But look forward to that.
This is the one where it's like, yeah, man, he won it like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like it was wrapped up, done, sorted, easy. Like I think for him, it's more rewarding because, like you said, no one can question it. No one can take that away from him.
But as well, like he's only human, and I think the scrutiny that, the eyeballs to be any F1 world champion, when you're fighting at the top, it's always going to be difficult. And I think, yeah, like you say, like it was a cakewalk this year. As much as Ferrari should have done better, I still don't think they would have toppled Red Bull Verstappen. And yeah, the questions around cost cap, obviously, given the amount of an overspend, do I think it's enough to offset all of that performance advantage?
I mean, how many points did he win the championship by? Like over 300?
140... I think it's 145 to Leclerc. It was like 149 or 8.
And then
Perez.
Red Bull won the constructors, but like over 300 points alone.
Yeah.
Like that's as much as the cost cap. And of course, it was, as much as that people will mention it, the way he dominated this season, there's no question mark over it. There's a big question mark on Ferrari more than anything. So and he deserves it. Like the level that he's been driving at this season has been kind of like, that's why we've had a kind of, in my opinion, a bit of a boring season. But the only reason it's been boring because he's been so dominant, and that's
also relative to 21.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 2021 was such a crazy season, but I don't think there's any level of catering really that could have caused such a dramatic.
I mean, they make energy drinks.
Yeah.
Like surely that kind of the drink side, they could just have Jaeger bombs. They for anyone who wants a
there's Jaeger bombs on the house, mate. Every single win. That's why they went over.
Do you reckon they have Red Bull on tap, like in a pub?
Yeah.
On draft. And they have all the different flavour Red Bulls as well on different taps.
They just give Sergio and Max a couple pints before the race starts.
I'm sorry.
Boom,
did you guys see that McDonald's advert that Sergio? Was it like McDonald's that he did?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh my days, it was so bad.
I haven't seen this. So
if you don't, after this, you need to go and watch. I mean, it's just so cringy, but I actually love it.
Yeah, if you're watching on your computer, open up another tab and find it because it's
Sergio Perez McDonald's.
We'll find it for you after. But talking of things what I hadn't seen, something from the FIA prize giving ceremony. You were telling me about before. Very awkward interaction between Christian Horner and Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who's now FIA president.
Yeah.
Digress for anyone who hasn't seen it. You two both saw it.
So it was just a bit of an awkward sort of like misunderstanding exchange, really.
Really awkward.
So this was obviously like Christian Horner's accepting what Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, the Constructors'
trophy,
kind of trophy,
right?
Yeah.
And he goes up and he's like, he's saying thanks, whatever, and then he goes, it was a bit confusing, obviously, how he won it in Japan because there was that sort of
when like Max wrapped up the drivers.
Yeah, has Max actually won it? They didn't know. Johnny Herbert was like, boom, here's what's happened.
You're the winner. Well done, mate. Next.
Iconic.
Yeah, he mentioned it was confusing, but...
And then the FIA president, I think like he confused the word confusion with like controversial. And then he just gets the mic up and he's just like, there was nothing controversial about the way Max won the title. This is nothing to do with the FIA. This is to do with the team. The teams wanted it. And it's like, I don't think he was
Stefano Domenicali's in the back like,
do you know what it was like?
Stop.
It was like when you're, I don't know, like at a bachelor party or whatever, and like you've got a drunk friend and he's on the mic and you're that friend like, oh my God, he's going to say something that's going to get him cancelled like any second now, and just like take the mic away from him. Like that's what Stefano Domenicali was doing. He was like, okay, enough of that. But
maybe he had too many Jaeger bombs before.
Maybe
that's what it was.
What was he drinking, mate?
he clearly went into kind of defence mode where there was so much talk at the end of obviously 21 about FIA intervention and all that kind of. And look, the FIA has been a very hot topic. I feel like over the last few years more than
they've been moving like FIFA, mate. It's unreal. It's just like their name is like, I think they're doing a lot of reputation kind of repairing, but yeah, they're still kind of at the forefront, and there's so much scrutiny on them. You know, anything that happens in Formula One, any kind of controversy, they're always going to look at the FIA now because like they seem to be like, I don't remember again like if they were even like that much known about like 5 or 6 years ago, but now it's like they're always a big topic, which is kind of strange.
This is what I do wonder if the whole FIA thing. It's like, is it because there's been these high-profile incidents, whether now there's always just more scrutiny in the same way like with Ferrari, you know, when Ferrari make a mistake, we jump on them. If they do something good, it's like, okay, whatever.
But if they weren't in the title fight, we wouldn't really care as much.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I don't know how much of it is that. And I guess obviously it's the job of Mohammed Ben Sulayem to like protect, and obviously in defensive mode there. But
he didn't do a great job though, did he?
Didn't do the best job.
Probably arguably made it worse.
Yeah, definitely
if
made
we're
it.
going to be honest. I think, yeah, you're kind of right in terms of like, that you've had like a high profile incident like Abu Dhabi was. And then...
Look, you went all Leclerc there.
yeah. You've had that high profile thing of last year, and now, there's more eyes on it. But like, for being honest, these stupid like errors and mistakes have kind of always been there.
Yeah.
You got, even the Japan tractor was like, can't be doing that again.
Yeah.
Same track, same conditions. Like... I don't know. I think, there's more eyes on it now because you have that original Abu Dhabi main huge thing.
Just the entire 2021 season. I mean, it was just nuts.
Yeah.
Well, how do we, obviously, it's a year on. And also, like, at the end of the day, right, I completely reject any assertion that we can't talk about Abu Dhabi 2021 because it's a bit controversial because a few people on Twitter can't, like, control themselves. Like, ultimately, this was one of the most defining, most memorable moments in F1 history and will be.
If you look at between 2020 and 2030, that decade, guaranteed that will be the most thing that happened in
easy. I think you look at the history of the sport. Like, that's up there with Prost, Senna. That's up there with like
all of Schumacher's crashes at title deciders, basically.
Yeah.
Literally, in terms of like memorability. But how do we? Because what were we? I was doing a live stream for the race. What were you two doing on the day?
I mean,
reflection of
the thing is actually. That race was obviously like the only one in 2021 that was on free to air. It was on it was the only one that I watched like with my mum and dad, like sat down. And Lewis Hamilton was obviously like dominating that race. It was actually a bit of a boring race, like before the whole.
It was a really boring race.
It was a bit of a stinker, apart from like the first couple of laps, and obviously like Checo defending. But then, after like 3/4 of the race, my dad was like, that's it, Lewis won. I'm just gonna walk away. Like they literally stopped watching, and obviously I'm still glued. And then obviously Latifi bins it. You get the safety car, you get all of that controversy, and that is why love it or hate it. Formula One, as much as people say it's predictable, it's not. Anything can happen right up until the final lap, and it did. And of course, whether it's good or bad for the sport, I mean, it's not. It doesn't make it look good. But I mean, it's box office a year later. It's going to be box office for decades to come.
Literally,
forever.
So I was actually there at the time, and this won't come as a surprise. I was critically hungover at the time.
So unlike you, man.
Yeah,
surely not.
And this was an evening race as well. I'm still struggling. I'm fighting for my life yet. So I'm there.
6 hours a day drinking beforehand.
Absolute stinker. So I was there like fighting for my life. And obviously, like you said, the first 2/3, 3/4 of the race was pretty stinky. Get to that point, obviously Latifi bins it. And I've said it a few times, but like, because like, I think there's that misconception sometimes when you're at a Grand Prix, you actually don't often know all the details of what's going on.
You can't have like a big screen in front of you.
Yeah, and even when you've got the screen, you still don't have the actual live feed commentary. You don't have Crofty or anything like that. You don't get all of the graphics on the screen or like FIA notifications, or you can't see them because they're so fucking small. So obviously we saw what was shaping up. We were like, oh my God, this could be a last lap shootout. Oh my God, Max got the new tyres on. Lewis got the old ones on, whatever. But we didn't know the nuance of like only a certain few drivers had been allowed to unlap themselves. So we're there like, yo, this is crazy. Didn't really notice that like there was like a fucking Aston Martin in between Sainz and Hamilton or whatever. Sainz and Verstappen. Comes to the end of the race, oh my God, that was mad. That's the greatest finale ever. Like 10 minutes later, go onto Twitter and then see all the controversy. It was like, oh shit. So we were in this weird bubble of like thinking for the first 10 minutes, that was absolutely the pinnacle of what Formula One should be. And then realised that it was actually a bit of a shit show afterwards.
I just remember Twitter after that. every single tweet got like minimum 2K likes. It was like numbers, every single tweet. Everyone was talking about it. I was like,
easy conversion.
stonks.
Easy stonks. Well, no, because so even Toto Wolff has come out now and kind of publicly said, in terms of it's time to kind of move on, essentially. Look, I get it that you can look at numerous different sports. Doesn't matter. Again, I guess football most poignant at the moment with the World Cup. There's always been moments in football matches where a referee's made a decision that don't necessarily agree with. Thierry Henry handball against Ireland. That one always sticks in my mind. I'm not even Irish.
Yeah.
And it's one of them that, like, I don't know. I feel like it will always be remembered, and there will always be people who will, rightly or wrongly, whatever your opinion is on it, criticize it. But also, this process of time, as time goes on, this will become part of history. And I still think even now, like we saw it at Abu Dhabi, like this year, it was much. It was at the forefront of everyone's conversation, right?
Mate, even in the build-up, all of the kind of posts on social media, people were like, throwback to Abu Dhabi last year. It was just like, it was not difficult to kind of like see all that because like obviously it happened last year, but it's just, that's always going to be a moment in Formula One history, and it's going to be an iconic moment, whether you love it or you hate it. We know that, whether you think it's right or wrong, whatever, it's going to be an iconic moment forever. Like, and the fact that we actually got to watch it in a weird way, I'm actually kind of glad that we got to see it because like that is a moment I'm never going to forget.
Yeah. That was like
sport sometimes,
motorsport heritage.
Yeah, it was. I like that. That's good.
That's what it was. Yeah, no, it was like the thing is though, with the whole, I understand where Toto Wolff is coming from.
And I agree with him, by the way. Like, I get that.
I hear it's getting, like, this is an argument, like, it's getting a bit old. But, like, when it comes to these iconic moments, especially when they're born from, like, mistakes and stuff, I think it is important to make sure that you still kind of, like, keep them in. Don't talk about them all the time, fine. Don't define Max Verstappen by Abu Dhabi 2021. But, like, we had a serious error of judgment there. And if you just sweep it under the carpet, forget about it, then,
You need to remember your history to not
context.
make the same mistakes again.
Yeah,
The context of why it happened is very important, even if you look back and, like, again, it's an iconic moment, but you got to remember the context.
Yeah, because, again, that's one of those... Again, my understanding is that conversations were had beforehand, always want to get the race redone under green flags when possible. If that had been made clear from the outset that the race director can be a bit more, okay, let's just get the cars going, then that's fine. Like everyone's agreed, but because it was done so hush, and that's the thing. Like you say,
also not the case of the Grand Prix.
You've not set a precedent there, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like if that is the ruling, then you've just got to be clear and not. But again, it's about learning from these things and moving forward because sport will always move forward.
Yeah,
championships.
Not F1 Twitter, mate. Not F1 Twitter.
They won't move on. They don't care. But Max Verstappen will also move on. The rest of his career will move him away from what he was known for there. So.
I think that's why this 2022 championship, like why he said it feels so much better. Let's talk about it. I mean, that's why he's so much happy. And he 100%, he was miles the best driver this year. Like in terms of driving the team consistency, there wasn't even anyone close. Like at the end of the day, in my opinion, he had the championship wrapped up in like Hungary. Like especially after Leclerc binned it in France, that was it.
It was pretty ominous, wasn't it? But
yeah, the rest of the team was just a flex, mate. It was like how many races I can win.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say.